It started as an ordinary rainy night, but within hours the skies opened like a broken faucet, unleashing a storm no one could have imagined. Rivers roared, streets vanished, and entire towns disappeared underwater. And then came the unthinkable. A massive hydroelectric dam cracked under the pressure, unleashing a wall of water so powerful it swallowed a city whole. 700,000 people had no choice but to run for their lives. This wasn't just a flood, it was nature's fury colliding with human failure, a disaster that revealed not only the power of water, but also the weakness of the systems meant to keep people safe. In Hubei province, the rain began like any other summer shower. A light drizzle tapped rooftops, washing the dust from the streets. People closed their umbrellas and thought nothing of it. But as night fell, the rain grew heavier, then heavier still, until it felt like the sky itself was breaking apart. By midnight, rainfall had already shattered the monthly average. Roads turned into rivers, and rivers became oceans. Entire villages were swallowed, leaving only rooftops and treetops visible above the waves. Families scrambled in the dark, clutching their children and leaving behind everything they owned. Cars floated like toys, houses collapsed as if made of paper. The elderly were carried on the shoulders of strangers. Those who couldn't escape climbed to rooftops, praying the water wouldn't rise any higher. And then, as if things couldn't get worse, the dam broke. The massive hydroelectric dam had stood for decades, a concrete giant designed to tame the river and power millions of homes. But it wasn't built for this storm. Hours of relentless rain filled its reservoir to bursting. Engineers worked desperately, opening floodgates, trying to ease the pressure, but the river was too strong. Just before dawn, cracks spidered across the dam's surface. Within minutes, the unthinkable happened. Concrete shattered. Water thundered through the gap, tearing apart steel and stone. The dam didn't just leak, it collapsed. What followed was a roaring wall of water taller than buildings. It raced downstream like a liquid bulldozer, smashing bridges, swallowing highways, and sweeping away everything in its path. Entire communities vanished in seconds. The city of Shenyang lay directly in the flood's path. By the time sirens wailed and evacuation orders were shouted through loudspeakers, it was almost too late. 700,000 people were told to leave at once. Families packed what little they could carry, some clothes, a blanket, a photo, and fled into the chaos. Buses stalled in rising waters. Cars jammed the highways, horns blaring in panic. Those who couldn't escape by road tried boats, rafts, even doors torn from their homes. From the sky, the city looked like a drowning world. Streets erased, buildings half submerged, power lines sparking in the rain, hospitals evacuated in darkness, schools turned into emergency shelters. The dam had promised safety and power. Now its failure delivered destruction. State rescue teams rushed to the scene, but the scale of the disaster was overwhelming. Helicopters hovered overhead, plucking people from rooftops. Boats moved through what were once busy streets, searching for survivors. Soldiers carried children wrapped in blankets. Volunteers linked arms to form human chains, pulling people from rushing waters. But for many, rescue came too late. Families vanished before help could reach them. Remote villages were wiped out in minutes, leaving nothing but muddy silence. Each hour of delay meant more lives lost. Drone footage revealed scenes that seemed unreal. Towns turned into lakes, cars stacked like debris, bridges torn apart like paper. When the storm finally eased, the damage was almost impossible to measure. Infrastructure lay in ruins. Power plants drowned, hospitals flooded, roads and railways disappeared, and the danger wasn't over. With the soil soaked and fragile, hillsides began to collapse. Landslides buried homes beneath tons of mud and rock. Survivors who thought they had escaped the flood found themselves trapped in new disasters. Even after the waters receded, another threat loomed: contamination. Wells turned toxic. Crops rotted in the fields. Livestock drowned, leaving families without food or income. Black mud coated entire neighborhoods. The smell of decay filled the air. The flood didn't just wash away cities, it washed away safety itself. Yet amid the destruction, something powerful emerged: human resilience. In villages cut off from aid, neighbors rescued each other with nothing but ropes and wooden planks. Farmers gave away food to strangers. Teachers gathered children under tents and tried to keep schools alive. Restaurants reopened not for profit, but to cook meals for rescuers. People who had lost everything worked together to rebuild brick by brick. Makeshift shelters became command centers. Students, shopkeepers, and retirees joined hands to clear debris. Even psychologists were dispatched, sitting with children clutching soaked toys, helping them process what they couldn't understand. Official rescue teams were there, but it was ordinary people who kept hope alive. Experts warned this was not just bad luck. It was the cost of a warming planet. Rising global temperatures mean storms now carry more moisture, dumping it with terrifying force. China's steep hills and fragile soil make floods even more destructive. And once the ground is soaked, landslides are only a matter of time. The dam's collapse showed more than a structural failure. It showed how unprepared even modern cities can be for nature's fury. Early warnings came too late, floodgates failed too soon, and the systems built to protect lives cracked under pressure. As survivors returned to what was left of their homes, the truth was impossible to ignore. Rebuilding walls and roads would not be enough. China now faces a painful reality. It must rethink how it confronts nature. Stronger dams, smarter alerts, and better preparation are needed, because the next storm is not a question of if, but when. And nature wasted no time reminding everyone of that. Just days after the floods, Beijing itself was struck by one of the fiercest hailstorms in memory. Hailstones the size of ping-pong balls, battered cars, smashed windows, shredded orchards, and left the capital buried under ice. Farmers lost months of work in just 20 minutes. Flights were grounded, streets paralyzed, and hospitals filled with the injured. The floods and hail carried the same message. No city, no matter how strong, is safe. The collapse of the hydroelectric dam in Hubei will be remembered as one of the darkest disasters in recent memory. A night of rain turned into a catastrophe of historic scale. A city drowned. 700,000 people fled. Countless lives were changed forever. But amid the sorrow, resilience shone. Neighbors became heroes. Strangers became family. And in the mud, people discovered a strength they never knew they had. Yet the haunting truth remains. Disasters don't just destroy buildings. They expose cracks in the systems meant to protect us. They reveal how fragile human safety really is. And they remind us that in the battle between nature and man, water always wins. Because in the end, the real story is not just about a dam collapsing. It's about how quickly safety can vanish and how desperately humanity must adapt before the next storm arrives.